We're here in Munich at Analytica 2010 and we're going to take a quick look at what's new on the Malvern Instruments booth.
So good morning everybody, my name is Mark Wingfield, I'm the General Manager at Malvern Instruments in Germany, and I'd like to welcome you to our Analytica exhibition stand here in Munich. The focus of this year's show is proteins, and so this is why we're starting in this protein section of the stand. The instrument that you see here is the Zetasizer Nano. The Zetasizer Nano is an instrument for dynamic light scattering, which has been around in various forms now for the last 20 years. Malvern has been active in this range, in this application area. The big new application area is proteins, and for protein applications, the Zetasizer Nano has already established its market position. We can measure size, we can measure molecular weight, we can see the potential. So here we are sat next to the Zetasizer Nano Micro V. It's a totally new instrument which we are introducing in fact at the Analytica. The Zetasizer Nano Micro V is an instrument for dynamic light scattering. It will measure the particle size, but it will also then measure the molecular weight of proteins. And the great thing about the Micro V is that we can link the Micro V to a GPC system, to the Viscotech system, so that we can then measure molecular weight, absolute molecular weight as part of the GPC process. We can also link the Zetasizer Micro V to a FPLC system, which a user might already have, using preparatively to work with proteins. We can take this instrument and we can add it to his system so that he has an extra information, he has the molecular weight, and he has the hydrodynamic size. And also for protein applications we have the Viscotech TDA Max system, or TDA GPC Max system, which is a complete GPC system, or system for size exclusion chromatography. And the great thing about this system is that we can measure the absolute molecular weights of proteins as they come off the column. We can also look at the hydrodynamic size, and we've got a series of detectors for doing that. We've got the Zetasizer Micro V, which is a new add-on, which is very comfortable. It works it's very easy to use. You don't need to know much about the sample. You don't need to know much about the experimental parameters. But we also have the viscosity detectors, which also have the place in the analysis. But it just depends upon the application. Fortunately, we have some great application specialists who will help the customers and advise them which detector they need for which application and which proteins. But of course at Malvern we've not just got instruments for particle sizing and molecular weight determination, we also have instruments for rheological measurements, and this is our Kinexus, a new rheometer. It's an instrument for looking at solids, it's an instrument for looking at liquids, and it will measure the rheological parameters of a sample, either the flow properties or the viscoelastic properties. The great thing about the Kinexus is very easy to use, but it's also got a lot of flexibility built into it, both with the sample geometry and the sample type, but also with the software. We have a very flexible software that allows you to put sequences together and devise very complex measuring routines, but at the same time we can store those in an SOP so that it's very easy for the user to use. And one feature that I'd like to show now is the active HUD of the Peltier. This is a new development, which means that we can control the temperature of a sample very precisely. It means that the temperature gradients across the sample are eliminated, or effectively eliminated, and we can be sure that we have a true measurement of the rheological properties at a given temperature. But of course, when many of our users think about Malvern, they think about particle size, and this is where we've grown over the years. This is the area that Malvern is best known in, perhaps. And certainly one of the areas where we've done best over the years is the area of laser diffraction, and no show would be complete without the Mastersizer 2000. The Mastersizer 2000 has changed a lot over the years, but it's still the most popular laser diffraction instrument in the world, and it's an instrument with a great deal of flexibility. So we can measure solids, we can measure liquids, we can measure suspensions and emulsions. There's a series of dispersion units so that we can look at small sample volumes and large sample volumes, and also dry powders. And the application areas are manifold. Maybe 25% of the instruments we sell go into the pharmaceutical industry, where it's about micronization, but we also have applications in food and in cement and in a whole series of interesting application areas across the chemical and pharmaceutical industries.